Today is Saturday, September the 1st, 2018. Hello, and welcome to Weekly Astrology Notes for the week of September 2nd through the 9th, 2018. Highlights for this week. A really big week for Mercury, starting with Mercury-Sextile-Venus on Monday, which is perfect for Labor Day festivities. And then the Grand Trine in Earth signs on Friday with Mercury-Saturn-Uranus. This Grand Trine in Earth will be much like it was for Venus and Sun recently. Enables skillful use of your creative talents to achieve success. It's good for material enterprises. The basic idea is self-mastery. But this time we've got Sun opposition Neptune as well, which gives the moment a very non-material, spiritual side to it. This is really interesting. The Grand Trine in Earth, coupled with the Sun opposition Neptune, gives us a strong connection to both the material and non-material world at the same time. Wow, that's a powerful contrast that can bring dynamic events. That doesn't happen too often. Both worlds combine in you and are expressed through the skillful use of your creative talents. This planetary combination could bring someone new into your life, but for just a brief moment, yet they have a profound, maybe spiritual effect on your life. Could be an angel in disguise, or a guide, someone who saves the day and helps you manifest your dreams. This is going to be exact on Friday, but remains in effect at the new moon on Sunday, and therefore over the coming month. And also, another aspect that's going to be in effect over the coming month is, because it's coincidental with the new moon, is the Venus square Mars. It's going to be on Saturday, and it's going to pull Venus into a T-square with Uranus and Mars, making it part of a powerful configuration, one that is going to bring exposure of the pedophiles and other human rights abusers. This is going to be a really big event, and I've got a lot to say about it. And actually, there's just so much going on this week. I want to get to it. I just want to mention also Saturn turns direct this week, and Venus enters Scorpio for an extended stay. And I've just got a lot to say about the new moon on Sunday, and I'm going to talk about John McCain, the death of an archetype. So I'll leave the daily summary for the description, and let's just get started with Sunday the 2nd. Just after midnight, the moon enters Gemini, so we're more mentally active the next couple of days. Good time to write and solve problems, catch up on missed connections. And then in the afternoon, we've got a little bit of a challenge with the last quarter moon. Moon square Sun, so that brings the usual emotional ups and downs as we face a moment of judgment for this month's growth. Sometimes we feel really successful, and oftentimes we feel like life is a struggle, and it's the Gemini to Virgo square, so too many details, too much information, much of it trivial, and you need to discern and cut away what's not necessary for you. Just moving right along into Monday the 3rd, which is going to be Labor Day here in the U.S. Just after midnight, we've got the moon square Neptune. The mind wanders into the non-material side of life, looking for the hidden meaning of things. And then also in the morning, a Mercury-Sextile-Venus, and that one will be 26 degrees of Leo to 26 degrees of Libra. Now, the last pass on this one was August the 18th, and it's been pretty much in effect ever since then. Communication flows smoothly, more eloquent, refined, able to sense what listeners want to hear and accommodate. We're more romantic, especially in these signs. Leo's dramatic, enjoys sharing the stage, loves romance, and Libra loves to hear what Mercury has to say on this kind of occasion. Receptive and considerate of others. It's a really good aspect for making art. You know, Leo rules your hobbies and creative endeavors, and Mercury rules your hands. So it's really good for using your hands for art and your hobbies. Writing and communication have a refined quality. A great aspect for making a speech, as well as all one-to-one communication. It's perfect for all social gatherings. People are in the mood for company and want to talk to others. There's lots of talk, much of it superficial and easygoing. Opportunities to meet a potential partner or have a good time with your existing partner, and it's also a good time for business. As well, we've got some really good moon aspects in the evening. So overall, it looks like a really great set of aspects for Labor Day festivities. You know, you got the moon trine Venus. It gives a very sociable, pleasant disposition, and moon sextile Mercury. So everyone's very talkative. And that's really nice. Coincides with the holiday. Moving along to Tuesday, September the 4th. In the early morning, moon enters Cancer, so we're more sensitive and in need of nurturing for the next couple of days, preferring to spend more time at home. And then in the morning, the lively moon sextile Uranus makes us ambitious, independent, looking for a change. May not seem to agree with the next aspect, moon opposition Saturn, but I was putting the two of them together. And the moon opposition Saturn is kind of a time when you're in the mood for therapy, not really available for others. But the moon sextile Uranus is a time when you can find another friend or find a new friend or confide in an existing friend. So I would think that in this particular moment, since these aspects are so close, this would be a good time to seek the advice of a trusted friend. Okay? So, moving along to Wednesday, the 5th. Starting just after midnight, we've got the moon sextile sun. The last sextile before the new moon, it's always a great aspect. An easygoing, creative time as inhibitions subside and we can relate to one another more easily. And also in the morning, the moon forms part of a Grand Trine in water signs. You'll see here moon trine Jupiter and moon trine Neptune. So warm, sincere, compassionate, and there's so much water flowing on Wednesday morning. It's like water flows everywhere. You might want to cry if you like. It's that kind of a thing. So emotions are going to be expanding. Also with Jupiter, we're going to be optimistic and generous and really able to share your feelings with others. And that's what that Grand Trine in water is doing for us, especially with the planets involved. It couldn't be better time to be in a crowd and just sharing your feelings with others. Okay, also a good time for business. But then things change quite dramatically in the afternoon on Wednesday. We've got moon opposition Pluto. Quite a contrast from earlier in the day. Emotions are stifled. Concern for your security and well-being. Money, sexual tensions come up. Folks withdrawn into their shell for safety. You want to avoid getting caught up in other people's drama. And then, later in the evening, Mercury leaves Leo and enters Virgo, where it will be until September the 22nd. Mercury is in its dignity in Virgo, where it's very methodical, able to attend to work with painstaking detail, good judgment, able to analyze all the facts and verbalize them in a convincing manner. The mind is focused on the mundane physical world, yet helpful quality of Virgo makes it very mature. It acts dignified and likes to serve others. And I tend to think that the virtue of maturity is one that we learn most in the mutable signs, where the adaptable quality enables us to rise out of the fixed nature or fixed ways of doing things. So that's a really good sign with Mercury in Virgo, and there's just a really great Grand Trine happening on Friday as Mercury goes into Virgo, and there's other great aspects for all the planets in Virgo, including this sextile to Jupiter, trine to all the planets in Capricorn, and to Uranus, of course. So that's a lot of good things for Mercury these days, I would say. Thursday, the 6th, starting just after midnight, or I should say in the middle of the night, moon square Venus. It's never really a bad aspect because these planets get along, but it does, in this case, we'll say emotional insecurities from childhood interfere with one-to-one interactions. And that's because that's the essence of the Cancer to Libra square, or 4th house to 7th house square in your natal chart. And it manifests perfectly with the ruling planets in their respective signs in this case. And then we've got a really big event on Thursday. Saturn going direct at 2 degrees 33 minutes of Capricorn. It will continue direct until April 30th of next year. In the shadow degrees, that'll be up until 9 degrees, and that'll be until December the 13th. And heads up, it's the last pass for transits to planets up to 13 degrees 54 minutes. So aspects for Saturn at the start of the direct motion could not be better. Part of a Grand Trine in Earth signs with Mercury-Saturn-Uranus, and the sextile to Venus actually completes a kite formation. So that's really good, and there's only this one square, and that's the Chiron. So overall, the energy just looks really great for Saturn at the start of the direct motion period. Now, Saturn restructures whatever sign it enters. And nowadays, Saturn is restructuring authority. And in geopolitics, this restructuring began with the introduction of a new authority that came into place last December when Saturn entered Capricorn. And that new authority established that it was now going to target persons involved in human rights abuses and confiscate their property. And I say it that way because when we had the aspect Sun conjunct Saturn on December 21st of last year, that's when we got that executive order that Trump signed. And that was the new authority structure that I'm speaking of. It took that form in physical reality. And essentially what that was about is removal of the old authority, but it took the form of going after the old guys because of their human rights abuses. So that was very significant, though it was not very well publicized, but that was when the restructuring of authority began. And now, with all these great aspects at the start of this direct motion period, that new authority, that executive order, you would say, now makes progress. Activities related to that executive order now move forward. So that's very good news for those of us wishing to see progress made towards arresting these pedophiles and human rights abusers. And despite my obvious bias in this case, I'm trying really hard to be neutral and just tell it like it is. You know, I predicted last year in December that there would be a major event coincidental with the Sun conjunct Saturn on the 21st of December, and the day after Saturn entered Capricorn, and that event would herald the start of a new era for authority. Well, it turns out that the executive order that was enacted on that day is the basis for all of these 45,000 sealed indictments that we've been hearing about that have come out since then. So the good aspects for Saturn at the start of the direct motion period are like good transits for the executive order that was passed on December the 21st last year. Progress will be made. The Grand Trine brings a precise, painstaking analysis, Mercury and Virgo, coupled with an innovative approach that enables an old dog to learn new tricks. And the sextile to Venus make the Grand Trine into a kite formation, adding even more dynamic and creative energy. Okay, so the T-square with Uranus, Venus, and Mars is going to produce the most amazing breakthroughs with regards to exposing the pedophiles. And Saturn, now direct with all these great aspects, is in the perfect place to make sure that that happens. I'm very excited about that. So I consider that to be a pretty big event. Also, on Thursday, we've got some moon aspects to consider. In the morning on Thursday, we've got the moon opposition Mars. So that'll make Thursday morning a bit aggressive. We're spontaneous. We're impatient with others. Folks are easily upset. Best to avoid confrontations around this time. And it's just not a good time for social gatherings. It's hard to deal with people. And then we have a short void of course until the moon enters Leo. So we're more dramatic and creative for the next couple of days. Good time for romance and recreation, attending to your hobbies, and spending time with your children. And then in the evening, the moon square Uranus. It's going to bring out stubborn behavior and fixed signs. Very independent, kind of edgy, attracted to the unusual, and just kind of disagreeable. It's not a good time for interactions. Okay, moving on to the really big day this week, Friday, September the 7th. A day of interesting contrast. The material and non-material worlds are activated in you. Very dynamic. Magic tends to happen when we get those contrasting energies. So I'm going to mix in the description for Mercury-Trine-Uranus and Saturn, kind of put them together because it's a big Grand Trine. So we'll start with the Mercury-Trine-Uranus, and that will be 2 degrees of Virgo to 2 degrees of Taurus. Mercury is part of this wonderful Grand Trine, so it's all this creative energy, helping us to do more, become better, more masterful, and giving us opportunities for material success. So if you recall, in July, we had Venus in this place. It was really good. And then on the August 25th, the Sun was here, also really good. Both spectacular times, so I would expect Mercury being here, no different. Another really good result. Now this aspect by itself is really good for the mind. Makes us more intelligent, able to think in the abstract, very innovative, more dynamic, want to express the unique side of ourselves, and able to express our opinions and work well within a group as well, because it's the trine to Uranus, which is friends and associates. So that's really nice. And conversations are probably going to be more lively, lots of new ideas, you want to share them, looking for opportunities, basically keeping it really positive. And Virgo is really helpful, so we're looking to help others and help the community, because Uranus is concerned with helping the community and social affairs. In Earth signs, we're looking to create something tangible. Skillful use of your personal resources is the trine from Taurus to Virgo. So you're looking to use whatever you have efficiently in order to make progress. Best to have some specific project in mind. That way you can really ground it and manifest it in the physical world. Helps to plan ahead. Mercury transits, they only last 12 to 16 hours. So these two aspects together, they basically last from Thursday noon until Friday evening, with a high point around 3 a.m. Friday morning. Of course, that's Pacific time. So you might want to plan ahead to take advantage of this wonderful opportunity. And then soon thereafter, also in the morning on Friday, Mercury trine Saturn, 2 degrees of Virgo to 2 degrees of Capricorn. And this one, the mind is precise, patient, methodical, good attention to detail. It slows down the speech and talk more carefully. And I think the best thing about it, the thing that you'll probably feel the most, very good at living in the present moment. Like that guy Eckhart Tolle was talking about in his book, The Power of Now. That kind of idea. Makes you single-minded, not letting any distractions impede your progress. And Mercury trine Saturn is always success-oriented. But because it's a trine, it's inspiring and creative. Good at methodical use of your mind, able to see a job through to the finish, and work without supervision or comfort. Very practical, conservative thinking, good relations with coworkers as well. And in the natal chart, the Mercury trine Saturn is the mark of the author. But since it's an earth sign, I'm thinking maybe instead of writing, something more along the lines of using your hands for design and construction, drawing, or building something tangible. But generally speaking, it's all about this Grand Trine and creating something using the skillful use of your talents, okay? And it could take so many different forms in everyone's life that I really would, the list could go on forever. But the point is, you're manifesting something in the physical world, so it's going to reflect something, that goes on in your life, and, the particulars of your life. So think of it that way. And one last thing we always got to mention, because it's in Virgo, so you might be looking to improve your health regime. And whatever you start now is sure to last a long time and bring lots of success, lots of opportunities for material success. And that's the most important point. I've left it for last, is whatever you start now will probably last a long time and bring you lots of success in the material world. So that's what's so great about this. And also that it includes this Sun opposition Neptune, also happening in the morning on Friday, almost at noon, and that one will be 15 degrees of Virgo to 15 degrees of Pisces. So this adds the non-material side of life to that very materialistic Grand Trine. So with this aspect, creative energy kind of dissolves into the collective. We're more open to the spirit world. We're more concerned with the non-material side of life and want to know the spiritual reason of things and find our place in the grand scheme of things. Generally low ego drive, low energy level, kind of in contrast to the Grand Trine, but it's very dynamic. But with this aspect, you're not as willing to stand up for yourself, a little bit unsure and unclear about others. Hard to see yourself in others, clearly. So you try not to misjudge the situation. Remember, there's always something you don't see. Also, the aspect makes us more sensitive, artistic, and compassionate, more and more open to the subtle energies around us. Like a sponge, we absorb more from our surroundings and may act like a chameleon, taking on any behavior that suits the moment, even if it is out of your usual character. And since it's Virgo and Pisces, you may be called upon to be of service to others. But also brings delusional thinking, easy to be tricked by someone. Now, I realize the classic interpretation needs to include lots of warnings about confusion and so forth, but the Grand Trine is in effect, and it's so close. I tend to think a more positive expression of the Neptune energy is likely. Therefore, thinking a lot about how this fits in with the Grand Trine, I think it could be really expansive. The Grand Trine brings us into connection with powerful cosmic forces of creative energy. Our life force energy is stronger, while this aspect adds that spiritual element to it. So you might experience a powerful moment this morning, whatever that means for you, a powerful realization that suddenly things just seem to all click, and all the pieces seem to fit together, and you have an opportunity that didn't exist before. Something could come up, something dynamic in your life, or you might meet someone who helps you, someone who provides some missing element in your life. Neptune and Pisces, that's the collective. So anybody could walk into your life right now. There's no boundaries. Your boundaries come down, I should say. Maybe new people come into your life, but for just a brief moment, yet they have a profound, maybe spiritual effect on your life. These people are helping you to find your place in the grand scheme of things, helping you to resolve things. They may be angels in disguise, here to help you for a brief moment, perform a little miracle in your life, then fly away, never to be seen again. The Virgo-Pisces axis, it's about making adjustments to a new reality. Virgo is the last sign before we go above the horizon, and Pisces is the last sign before we go below the horizons. So both signs are very concerned about adjustments to a new reality. And in this case, it brings you into contact with people who are far beyond your normal range of activities. It connects you with the sea of humanity. So you never know who could walk into your life and change it in some way. And that's because plans put into action now have this very powerful creative dynamic. And that attracts powerful people, even spiritual helpers, because what you're doing, what you're creating now, it's going to affect other people a lot more than usual once it's completed. And the Grand Trine enables you to do something successful with your creative talent, and this aspect kind of puts you in touch with the angels to help you do that. All the helpers, the people out there in the universe who are going to help you. So if all you need is a miracle, then Friday morning, I guess, is the best time to find it. All right? So we do have one other moon aspect to consider. In the early afternoon, the moon squared Jupiter. This one, as usual, with the Jupiter aspects on the moon, emotions expand. Leo to Scorpio square can come up as a personal moral crisis, or like a fight between the forces of light and the forces of darkness. So the usual inclination to overindulge comes with a bit of passion in these signs, like we're trying to overcompensate for some innate deficiency or fight a moral battle. So be careful not to indulge too much, to divulge too much information, because the squares to Jupiter make you tend to think before or excuse me, tend to open your mouth before you think about it. So you may later regret revealing your true feelings. Okay, that's it for Friday. Moving along to Saturday, the 8th. Starting in the early morning, we've got the moon sextile Venus. Very pleasant aspect for the morning, romantic. And then we've got a short void of course until the moon enters Virgo, so we're more analytical and precise for the next couple of days. And it's just a really big time for a moon in Virgo with the new moon and lots of wonderful aspects. Starting with this one, Moon Trine Uranus. Still in the morning on Saturday. Ambitious, innovative, a good time to make new friends and associates. And the Moon Trine Saturn. So basically the moon is in the same spot Mercury was yesterday, forming this wonderful Grand Trine. Really great energy in effect. So now we got like a double Grand Trine here. So, you know, the usual focus on duty and responsibility is taking on a much greater sense, I would think, with this Grand Trine. And it's just more emotional energy added to all of that stuff I talked about yesterday. For one really important thing to consider about Saturday is the Venus square Mars aspect happening exact in the early afternoon. And that'll be 29 degrees of Libra to 29 degrees of Capricorn. Now this one can be a challenge or a benefit on your relationships. It kind of depends on how you handle the energy. I hope some of the things I tell you will give you a little bit of things you can anticipate to avoid the difficulty. You know, in all our one-to-one interactions, we're going to be more impulsive about our desires, hence more amorous, but also more impatient with others. You know, Mars wants what it wants right away and is not mindful of the rights of others. Nonetheless, this energy does bring the opposites together. Mars, masculine, and Venus, the feminine. They come together to have some sort of realization that they both need to have. Now, it can be a difficult realization, but it's one that's necessary. And that's the way you want to kind of look at it. So aspect also makes us more indulgent and lazy, kind of more in love with our comforts and personal possessions. You know, when you identify with your money, brings a strong desire for money, maybe thinking about get-rich-quick schemes. But with Mars in Capricorn, the energy kind of slows down a bit, released in a sustained manner, enabling you to build something meant to last a long time. And since this aspect is going on for a while, you might want to consider that element to it. It's Libra to Capricorn now, so that one means secrets are revealed, but it's going to be Scorpio to Aquarius pretty soon. Generally speaking, this is not a good aspect for social gatherings, and meaningful interactions may be too difficult to try now, and best to use the physical energy in a productive way. But the big idea here is Venus is now becoming part of a T-square, which ties Venus into the dynamic that is exposing the human rights abusers. You see Venus opposition Uranus and square to Mars. It's this big T-square. And this has a lot of significance on the macro level. It's going to remain in effect for a longer than usual period of time because of the retrograde. This particular aspect is going to be exact again in mid-October, but we're going to be getting Venus opposition Uranus soon. And this aspect is also going to change to Scorpio to Aquarius, and that's going to bring the power struggles and the moral crisis. And Uranus and Aquarius, they both, they bring things to light. And all of that light shining on Venus in the dark sign of Scorpio is going to mean exposure of those who violate the personal space of others, violate the personal integrity of others. And it will probably coincide or instigate police actions. So that's really the big news about this T-square, and I'm going to talk more about it now when we talk with the Venus entering Scorpio. But I just wanted to mention briefly, in the afternoon, we're having a very nice aspect on Saturday, Moon conjunct Mercury. Emotions and intellect working in unison can be a very creative time, a time when your inner child comes out to play. It brings a lot of emotional flexibility. We're spontaneous and curious. You can do two things at once. Really good at using your intuition. So that's something to take note of once a month. I happen to find that Mercury conjunct Moon just to be a really nice time, as I've noted in my notes. So, moving along to the 9th. You got a lot to talk about still on Sunday, because Venus enters Scorpio. It's going to be going retrograde soon at 10 degrees on October the 5th. It's going to be going back down into Libra, basically for the month of November, from October 31st through December the 2nd. And then it returns to Scorpio, where it will be until January the 8th. So basically, all the rest of September, all of October, not November, but December, so 3 out of the next 4 months, in Scorpio. Spends a lot of time in Scorpio. And it's in its detriment in Scorpio, where the intense energy does not suit pleasant Venus. Makes for paranoid perceptions, thinking the worst of others' intentions. During this time, art and music take on a pathological quality, very dramatic and intense. More aware of deep undercurrents between others. It makes us more psychic. Basically, our feelings don't become our own. Our feelings become mixed in with the feelings of other people. And we just feel what everyone else is feeling. So you feel these deep undercurrents, whatever isn't being said, the power games, the hidden feelings, the desire for money, the hidden desires. And you feel all of that. As well, Venus in Scorpio likes to premeditate like a criminal and anticipate opposition, which is actually something that can be put to good use during these times. And I'm going to recommend that you do think ahead and anticipate opposition to your plans in life so that you can make adjustments. But all of this intensity can be too much for Venus. You may want to pull back and go into your shell. You know, Venus in Scorpio does not like to express their emotions. They try really hard to remain dignified. And they enjoy secrecy and hiding. Even if they don't have anything to hide, they just enjoy it because it's kind of fun. I tend to think that the game of hide and seek was probably invented by someone with Venus in Scorpio. And of course, it brings a strong desire for love and sex. But the really big topic for Venus in Scorpio is that it's part of this T-square, this really amazing, volatile T-square with Mars and Uranus. And it pulls it into the dynamic that we know already is exposing these human rights abusers, the pedophiles. You know, notice that we have the situation where planets, you know, when they either square or oppose their ruling signs, it brings a lot of judgment and confrontation. So here we have Venus opposing Taurus and Uranus squaring Aquarius is what it's going to come down to. So that's going to bring a lot of that confrontation, opposition, judgment. Things get kicked out. You know, just a lot of things come to a head. And the issues are going to revolve around personal freedom, love, and relationships, all the Venus things, and the integrity of your personal space. And all of these are fundamental issues with regards to what's going on with these human rights abusers, because those are the kind of violations that they have been making. So, you know, I could expand on this quite a bit, but I just want to give you the basic picture that what we see here is the elements for all of the exposure that we've been looking for. Now, what this means for us personally over this period is that we're going through a difficult period where our feelings are going to go through a rather difficult and tumultuous death rebirth process. That's Scorpio. It rules the death rebirth process. So Venus is going to die and be reborn. And that causes the elimination of regressive energies within you, within us individually and within society as a whole. There may be a fundamental shift in your life. Your friends and associates may change. A lot of things may die off in your life now, and you may face intense power struggles, okay, because of this Venus opposition Uranus. It's going to bring a lot of chaos, possibly into your personal life in all one-to-one interactions. So that comes down to intense power struggles to maintain your personal values, your personal possessions, and moral conflicts are going to arise. And you'll need to face these challenges with fortitude, and I'm giving you a little clue here, anticipation. Because Scorpio likes to premeditate, and that can be a really good quality in this case. You want to anticipate that something is going to go wrong. Just don't assume it's going to go okay. Anticipate what could go wrong and plan ahead. You know, you can't afford to be a spectator in your own life at this time. You're going to have to take action to head off disaster. Maintain your moral high ground and don't take deceptive actions, because that would be the negative side of Scorpio. But this death rebirth process for Venus is going to be very destructive this time around. So I feel like I need to give people a warning. And it would behoove you to seize the wonderful opportunities to repair, reform, and regenerate. And think ahead about what could go wrong and make the proper adjustments. And embrace this energy through deep healing, through the use of alternative healing methods. And that may be required in order to direct or redirect this destructive energy towards useful gains. And there are a lot of useful gains that can come from it. And I'm going to talk more about how that is when we talk about the new moon. Okay, so that's a lot to consider with regards to Venus in Scorpio. Now, next week we're going to get the Venus opposition Uranus, and that's going to be a lot of the same energy. Okay, and let's see here. I guess I should mention the moon opposition Neptune happening on Sunday morning, and that one is going to have our emotions dissolve into the collective, maybe kind of make you unsure of your feelings, and once again open you up to the spiritual side of life. And then we've got the new moon also in the morning on Sunday, just before noon. The new moon will be at exactly 17 degrees of Virgo. Now, it's always a great aspect. There's lots of creative energy. It's the most creative aspect in all of astrology. And there's, it always brings lots of hope at the start of the new monthly cycle. So aspects for the new moon, well, it's quite a few, and they're really strong. So first consider that it's in Virgo. So that's skillful and precise. And these positive aspects we're having, some really good ones, are going to give us lots of opportunities to succeed using our skills. But Virgo does not like couch potatoes. You are going to need to get up and do the work. So get ready to use your skills to the best of your ability this month. You don't want to give in to worry or the confusion that comes with those Neptune oppositions. And we got some really great Pluto energy on this new moon. The overall positive Pluto-Scorpio energy this month means we're going to be able to turn over the soil and deal with whatever comes up. We're going to have the energy and the power. But you're going to have to be proactive in your mind and your conscious intentions. There's a lot of energy for important healing and regeneration, and that really needs to happen. So you need to engage that with your mind and basically embrace this energy by consciously affirming positive healing energy in your everyday encounters. And, take the bull by the horns is what I'm encouraging people to do here, and to consciously engage the use of this Pluto and Scorpio energy, because we've got the sextile to Jupiter in Scorpio and the trine to Pluto. And next week we've got Jupiter sextile Pluto happening. So the whole Jupiter sextile Pluto aspect is going to be activated in this new moon. That is very significant, along with all the other stuff. It's just amazing, all this stuff that's going on. So you're going to be resourceful, realize you already have what you need, or you've got easy access to resources for whatever else you do need. The sextile to Jupiter is going to sure to bring growth, and like I say, access to resources and lots of healing energy. And the trine to Pluto and Capricorn is also very good. It's going to bring a transformation, a change for the better. So there's so much Pluto energy that, maybe even a benefactor comes into your life. Someone could help you, because we got these oppositions to Neptune, like I was saying, could bring an angel. So just so much going on. It's so dynamic. And Virgo is helpful. So don't be afraid to ask for help. Find allies and supporters, folks who will assist you, as well as being helpful towards others. It's got so much creative energy for your task, your creative talents. If your plan isn't selfish, then these Pluto aspects could really help you find the allies you need for your creative endeavors. And I keep on mentioning health and hygiene, and it really is a must with the new moon in Virgo. Health must be good, or any gain is going to be short-lived. You need a strong and energetically clean physical body, your aura, your chakras, all that stuff. You need to be really grounded, have a energetic connection to the earth, because this Grand Trine in earth requires us to really be grounded, so we can ground all of this wonderful energy into the physical plane of existence and achieve the self-mastery that Virgo can bring you. So you want to avoid toxins, cleanse and purify your body, spend time in meditation, do some yoga. Intoxicants, they have a stronger than usual effect with these Neptune oppositions, so you want to avoid them as well. And then we really need to consider what's going on with Venus this month. We've got the Venus square Mars already talked about, and the Venus opposition Uranus coming next week. It's going to be a major factor. In geopolitics, this is all tied into the revelations about the pedophiles and other human rights abuses. We will see a lot more of that coming out. A lot of revelation about all of those things. And already, if you follow the alternative press, we are now seeing the deepest, darkest, sickest details of these crimes come to the surface. Stuff that you would never thought would be revealed is now openly discussed all over the internet. I'm talking about this thing called adrenochrome. Well, what is it? It's some secretion from the human adrenaline gland. And you might want to look into this if you have the stomach for it. Who takes it and why, and how they come about to getting it, how they harvest it. If you've got a strong stomach and can deal with the information, then please research the topic here on YouTube. You're going to be horrified to learn the truth about what these people have been up to. When the truth is revealed, there will be a national moral crisis. In fact, it's going to be a moral crisis across the globe. On a geopolitical level, it's fireworks time for the deep state cabal. Saturn now direct with great aspects. The authority makes progress. The T-square is the moment when those who have transgressed against the personal values of others are thrown out of the collective. Just like John McCain, whom I'll talk more about later, who's got a perfect example of being ejected from the collective. These aspects give us quite a challenge this month. You've got to stay diplomatic, maintain your dignity amidst the upheaval, and not get paranoid or vengeful. And realize that it's going to probably have a lot of effect on all of your one-to-one interactions and on your relationships, which are going to go through a period of upheaval and turmoil. Even friendships are going to be tested at this time. So like I was saying before, you want to anticipate things that could go wrong and shore up any weak points and make sure you got your integrity intact, and don't do anything underhanded, because I'm telling you, the energy that comes up this month is going to be absolutely volcanic. Overall, I would say it's very easy to lose your balance this month. Venus rules Libra. That's the scales. It's easy to lose your sense of balance or equilibrium. So you'll need to be very watchful and mindful of what's going on around you. And then we have to consider the Neptune oppositions as part of this new moon. And like I said before, that can bring anyone into your life. So you need to remain open to angels and new people coming into your life, asking for help from the universe, and giving help to those who need your assistance. You need to give and receive unconditional acceptance this month. And that's what these oppositions are telling me. So check where 17 degrees of Virgo falls in your chart and focus your energies on activities in that house this month. And we've got a couple more moon aspects to finish up the week. In the afternoon, Moon sextile Jupiter in Scorpio and Moon trine Pluto. Those two really good Pluto-Scorpio energies that I was talking about before, they come into play in the afternoon, and they're very, very positive mood, able to stay busy and get a lot of work done. It's a good time for business, and the strong burst of energy from the Pluto can help you to make a change for the better, able to find someone who helps you or help someone else make a change in their life. So it looks really good for the new moon to be one of the most eventful new moons that we've seen in quite a while. So that's all this week for the aspects. And I wanted to talk about John McCain. And it's kind of interesting because I almost talked about him last week. It's just that there wasn't quite enough room on the video. So this week I'm going a little bit longer and including him. And I had done this chart for August the 26th, which is after he had passed away, because I noticed that he was getting Uranus square moon, 2 degrees Taurus to 2 degrees of Aquarius. And I thought that that was really significant. And then he passed away, and all the news came out about that. And looking at it more, I see that it's also tied in to the Jupiter trine Neptune that we had recently, as he has been going through Neptune square Jupiter, just like Aretha Franklin, only she had Jupiter in Gemini. He's getting it from the other side, so it's the exact same transit. But he's also getting Neptune opposition Neptune. So he's had a couple of passes of that already, so that was factored into it. So clearly this Jupiter trine Neptune has produced another great ending. In this case, another archetype in American society. And I think even more significantly is the death of his political persona, the maverick, which is an independent individual. And that's very Aquarian in nature. And you'll notice he's got Moon in Aquarius in the 11th house. So that's a lot of Aquarius energy on that moon of his. And now he's getting this Uranus squaring the moon. So this is one of those cases where you have a planet squaring or opposing its native sign or house, in this case both of them, and how that creates a judgment, how the judgment results in something getting eliminated or an ending and ejected from the person, from them, from their personality, from their character. They stop doing that. In this case, he himself is kind of ejected from Aquarius, which is the collective. All right? I mean, Leo says, I am king. Aquarius says, we are all kings. It's this group awareness that comes from Aquarius. So Aquarius really relates to the group. And here we have Uranus squaring Aquarius, so something from the group gets judged and ejected. In this case, it's him. And I think this is very telling. It's very significant because a lot of this kind of stuff is happening with regards to the square from Aquarius to Uranus. And we're going to see a lot more of this over the next 7 years, as everything in Aquarius is going to get squared by Uranus. I think it's kind of karmic that the moon's nodes were hovering around there as well. But even more interesting is, because he's such an Aquarian person, he becomes somewhat of an Aquarian archetype. And an Aquarian archetype is somewhat of a phenomenon that occurs in society, which basically means it's someone that everyone loves. It represents the halcyon expression of what one can aspire to become in that particular society or within that group. So it's the kind of thing that every politician, rock star, movie star, scientist, explorer, and pioneer, something we all want to be. We all want to have that that quality. We all want to, carry the flag of the innovator. And for him, he is the archetype or standard bearer for the neocons. Okay, so he's like the archetype that carries the group message. And with his death, the movement in American politics, that is the neocons, is going to suffer a severe blow. The neocons, those are the ones who say it's America's job to police the entire planet, they're going to go down with McCain, or at least they're going to suffer a serious blow. And that's what this says to me. It's not just the end of John McCain's persona, but what that persona represented on a group level. And I think it's very telling that it was Uranus and the 11th house that was getting squared. That tells me a lot. So basically, the neocons are out, along with John McCain. So, that's a lot for this week. A lot to digest. I went longer than usual. Coming up next week, we've got a lot more going on. We've got Sun sextile Jupiter. And as I mentioned, the Jupiter sextile Pluto is coming around again. Third pass. And then the Venus opposition Neptune, which I've already alluded to. Mercury opposition Neptune, Mercury-Trine Pluto, and Mercury sextile Jupiter. So yet again, another big week for Mercury next week. So that's all for this week. You can check out my website, tomsocalm.com. And thank you to my subscribers and supporters. You'll find donation buttons for Patreon and PayPal in the lower right-hand corner of the flower image on my channel homepage. You can follow me on Twitter, TomJordan364. Contact me if you're interested in a natal or transit reading. I like to use astrology as a tool for life coaching. And I'm now a Reiki Master Teacher. So if you're interested in a long-distance Reiki healing or a psychic reading, you can contact me at mobilestar7@yahoo.com or my weblog where I post the transcript of these weekly videos. Links will be in the description. Well, that's all this week for Weekly Astrology Notes. Once again, thanks for viewing, liking, and sharing my video. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Many blessings, and have a great day.